32-year-old man is the island's 43rd homicide victim. The family of a murder victim applies its own brand of restorative justice. The opposition accuses the Prime Minister of language unbecoming of his office and fresh calls for the review of the island's labor laws. Good evening. Welcome to the D.B.S. News World for today, Monday, October 23rd, 2017. I'm Kendall Burton. We start with news that police have launched an investigation into the island's 43rd homicide for the year. On Friday, October 20th, 2017, officers attached to the Groseley police station received the report of an unresponsive male found along the V.C. Cray Road in Groseley about 9:15 p.m. Ian Celestine, a 32-year-old resident of the area, was found with an apparent injury to the head. He was transported to the Groseley Polyclinic, where he was pronounced dead by a medical practitioner. Investigations are continuing into this matter. Meanwhile, Ian Celestine's family has been left with more questions than answers as relatives struggle to come to grips with his tragic death and try to determine the motive for his violent passing. Sheffield Gillard has their story.
The body, identified as 32-year-old Ian Leslie Celestine of the same community, was found unresponsive with an apparent gunshot wound to the head. The news came as a surprise to the family, which is still trying to come to terms with the tragic loss.
I just want to know why they did it, because I'm puzzled as to why someone would do something like that, and the way in which it happened. That was a cruel way to die. So I just want to know why it happened, and I wish they'd find out who did it.
Everybody is sort of still in a state of shock because it is unbelievable how something so bad can happen to somebody so good. Ian was a loving human being. His presence made everybody happy. So for him not to be here right now, under these circumstances, for him to die in such a tragic way, it's just unbelievable.
Celestine, a dancer with Movement International Dance Group and an AMU student, was on his way to a performance Friday evening when tragedy struck.
He was on his way to performance on Friday night, and when the dancers obviously realized that he was not there, everybody knew something was wrong. But it was not until a Saturday morning that police found the family's house and informed us that there was a murder and it may have been him. He was beautiful inside and out, and I want him to always be remembered that way. You know, when these things happen, everybody has something negative to say and everybody's speculating, but I want St. Lucians and the wider world to just remember my cousin as a beautiful human being, someone that did not deserve to die this way.
While speculation is rife that Celestine's murder was a hate crime as a result of his sexual orientation, his relatives are asking members of the public to be a bit more sensitive.
Right now we are waiting the police to do their job, and we're waiting for further information as to their investigations, and we're just like the wider public, we're speculating as well because we have no idea. There's no motive, there's absolutely no reason why something like that should have happened to him, so we're speculating as well. But we just ask that they give the family, the courtesy, the decency to just stop with the rumors and just wait for the reports, to just wait for the officers to do their job.
This incident brings the number of homicides recorded for the year 2017 to 43. For the D.B.S. News World, I am Sheffield Gillard.
In more police news, on Sunday, October 22nd, 2017, officers attached to the Micoud police station received the report of a shooting at Monrepos, Micoud, about 3:25 p.m. Cordon Marius, a 25-year-old resident of St. Mary, Monrepos, sustained a gunshot wound during the said incident. He was pronounced dead at the St. Jude Hospital by a medical practitioner. Investigations into this matter are also continuing. This incident brings the number of homicides recorded for the year 2017 to 44. The family of a woman allegedly murdered by a St. Lucian man in Martinique is here trying to apply their own brand of restorative justice and to help relatives of both the victim and the alleged perpetrator find peace. The 34-year-old teacher, along with her 6- and 3-year-old children, were all stabbed to death. Alex Busquet has their story.
Claire Cartier, the sister of the adult victim's mother, says although they are here on business, they also want to make peace. They say what happened could have happened anywhere to anyone.
We know we have different solutions who live in Martinique, and we have people who come from Martinique who live in St. Lucia. And they talk about a lot of things with what happened. We just want, they know, family, my family, we don't have anything with that. We don't have anything with St. Lucia, like St. Lucia that have anything with us. What happened could be happen in anyway, in anyone. And what happened in one life could be happen in another life.
While on island, Ms. Cartier says she and her sister paid a visit to the mother of the accused assailant.
We want to try to do something together and stop with that.
Tell us, you went to see the boy.
Yesterday we see the mother. We went to the mother home and we talked with her, and she knew we pardon. We talk her, we pardon. I can understand because I am a mother too, and I can understand. And I remember what she said. She said, now maybe she can sleep because we come and we talk to her. But we know what happened, and we know what could be happening in a mother hurt. So that's why we go at her home and we tell her that, don't worry about that. Take care of you, and God is love.
As people in Christ, Cartier says she and her sister want the people of Martinique and St. Lucia to move on without bad blood between them.
I know people in Martinique are very disappointed about that. And now we are in St. Lucia, and we want to say, St. Lucia people, we are disappointed too, but we pardon everything. So they don't have to have hate in them, hurt from anyone. And we want that stop too. We would like, and we observe what happened, make everybody together.
Claire and her sister say no matter what, naturally, the horrific incident will leave a scar on the families of both the victims and the accused. For the D.B.S. News World, I am Alex Busquet.
In other news, the St. Lucia Fire and Emergency Service is reporting another active weekend with a total of 79 emergency calls. 49 of those calls were within the Castries area.
The Grozile Fire Station responded to one motor vehicle accident and also one report of a shooting incident. Denver Fire Station also responded to one motor vehicle accident, which recorded minor injuries. The Vieux-Fort Fire Station, or rather in the south of the island, a total of 30 ambulance calls were recorded.
The Vieux-Fort Fire Station also recorded 2 vehicular accidents and 1 physical assault.
The Miko Fire Station also responded to 1 stabbing incident and 1 gunshot wound incident. Soufrière Fire Station had 3 ambulance responses.
Time now for Street Vibes. Here's Alex Busquet with tonight's presentation.
Hi, I'm Alex Busquet and you're watching Street Vibes. Today the people speak to an open mic.
My thing is, I have a problem with the water company in St. Lucia. I wouldn't mention the name, but everybody knows. Every time it rains, there's no water at my house. And I have a problem with that because water is a necessity in my home and I need the water, that's why I'm paying for it. So I want to know what that company is actually doing, or what are they going to do, or what are they planning to do in future for when it rains, that I could still have water at my home because I'm paying for the service. That's what I need and I want it. And for the past few days, I don't have any water and I'm wondering what's going on.
I believe St. Lucia could do better with the animal situation. As a youth that traveled for school and came back to St. Lucia, I would see the dogs and the animals on the streets and people treat them really badly. We could do better as a country. My friends would say, why y'all treat your animals like that? And I feel like, well, I can't talk for St. Lucia, but it looks really bad. We could do better. This is in the 80s, this is in the 70s, this is 2017. We should take care of our animals, you know? It looks bad on the tourists when they come here. It looks bad on St. Lucia, period.
What I want to ask about, I can understand why the people only want to take young people and not take young people, not taking people 45 to 56 up to go and pick apple in Canada or wherever. Why is young people alone? Now, why not people like me?
You've just been watching Street Vibes of me, Alex Busquet, down here at the Aquarius Crossing, the intersection of Coral and St. Louis Streets. With that, we'll take you back to our studio.
You're watching St. Lucia's television and the news leader and listening to us on Rhythm FM 95.5. We're also online on the big screen at the Aquarius Crossing in downtown Castries. Still to come, the SLP calls on the Prime Minister to apologize for recent statements, and a retired judge joins those calling for a review of the island's labor laws.
Monsieur Patrick Anthony Folk Research Center, Events Company of St. Lucia Inc. and the Cultural Development Foundation has waited tout cette plaisir at home and abroad. Bonne fête Creole.
Welcome back. Castries South MP Ernest Hilaire continues to take issue with recent statements by Prime Minister Alan Shasney. Statements that the opposition parliamentarians believe liken them to barking dogs. The SLP in a recent statement called the Prime Minister's comments grossly disrespectful of opposition parliamentarians and unbecoming of a Prime Minister. They are calling on him to apologize and withdraw the statement. Sheffield Gillard reports.
Hilaire was referring to the Prime Minister's response to a question from a reporter about the failure to respond to questions from opposition parliamentarians about the Citizenship by Investment program. In response to the question, Shasney asked, "Should it be every dog that barks that I should respond?" The opposition has taken issue with his choice of words.
This is a gross disrespect by the Prime Minister to suggest that in a meeting of Parliament, when questions are asked of a minister responsible for a particular portfolio, and in this case, the Prime Minister, that questions are asked, and he chooses not to answer, and for him, not every dog that barks, he should respond. The Prime Minister must recognize that this is Parliament where elected members, people elected to go into Parliament and represent their constituents and to hold the government accountable, are expected to ask questions. And when questions are asked of any minister, in fact, if you look at the standing orders for Parliament, for the House of Assembly, and on the order paper, there's actually a provision for question time when members can ask questions. And when motions are being debated, questions are asked. And to suggest to answer those questions means you're responding to a barking dog. It's totally unacceptable, it's disrespectful.
Hilaire made reference to 2014 when then Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony called Castries South East parliamentarian Guy Joseph a poodle in the House of Assembly. He said, although this matter is being resurrected, the statement was used in a different context and with zero vindictiveness behind it.
The name poodle in politics is actually a term and phrase used in politics. And I ask you and any other viewers to just Google poodle in politics. What does it mean? Go to Wikipedia. Because the word poodle in politics is reference to a politician who obediently and without thinking follow the lead of other politicians. That's actually a term in politics. In fact, one of the most famous uses of that term was Tony Blair being called George Bush's poodle. The relationship between the United Kingdom and the US is called poodle politics because it is believed that the United Kingdom always follows the lead of the United States of America. What Dr. Anthony had done was to say to Guy Joseph, he's everywhere following Alan Shasney, doing whatever he wants, like his poodle. When Dr. Anthony did it, it was picong in the house. You were throwing picong at each other. And picong is part of the house.
Hilaire went on to highlight that the Prime Minister's use of the barking dogs metaphor was in no way witty banter. Instead, he was being blatantly spiteful and disrespectful. He says the Prime Minister crossed the line in more ways than one.
The Prime Minister recently called Philippe an economic terrorist. In today's world, to call somebody a terrorist is a very strong description to attribute to that person. But it was understood that what he was trying to convey is that in his view, the political leader, the opposition leader, by his comments or whatnot, was seeking to damage the economy of the country, in his view. And therefore, he described him as an economic terrorist. Now, some people might say that's going overboard because of the notion of what a terrorist is. And people use picong in politics. But it's a different thing when you go to Parliament and you go and you ask questions as required to the government. And the Prime Minister says, I'm not even speaking. And when he's asked by reporters, why didn't you speak? Because you're the Minister for CIP and you're Prime Minister. He says, well, not every barking dog that bark, I will respond.
The Prime Minister's words and refusal to answer the CIP questions, Hilaire says, further highlights what the opposition says is his arrogance and disdain towards the media. For the D.B.S. News World, I am Sheffield Gillard.
Retired appeal court judge Michael Gordon has called for a review of the labor code. He joins several others who think it needs to more accurately reflect the changing nature of the workplace and the environment organizations are operating in.
The Labour Code was passed in 2011 and it was expected that it would radically change the industrial climate on the island. The amended code was supposed to facilitate a level playing field between employees and employers, but there are those who feel it didn't do that. Mr. Gordon is among those who feel a review of the document is long overdue.
I had the privilege of being the chairman of the Labour Tribunal, and so got the opportunity to see at close hand the failures of the code. I say failures, not in the sense of being critical, but rather in the sense of its failure to cover certain areas. The time has come, and I would expect that the National Workers' Union will be a fundamental partner in the exercise of revision. It is overdue. It must happen.
Gordon describes the Labour Code as a mammoth undertaking, but he noted that some developments could not have been predicted or anticipated. He referenced the portions of the code dealing with discrimination against workers on the basis of race and religion.
As a sentiment, nobody can disagree with it. But if I were to ask you all here today, what is your definition of religion? I suspect I would get a number of answers, not all coincident with each other. I am of the view that the next frontier that has to be tackled by the National Workers' Union and its sister union is the concept of freedom of religion.
Gordon asserts that as societies mature and evolve, concepts such as religion evolve as well. For the D.B.S. News World, I am Sheffield Gillard.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness continues training and sensitization of groups and individuals across the island in a bid to reduce and control chronic diseases. The ultimate aim is to create a healthier nation. We learn how in this report from Miguel Morissette.
The Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, implemented the Stanford University Chronic Disease Self-Management Program to enable individuals who care for or live with chronic conditions to best manage the disorder. A cohort of persons across the island were trained to deliver and implement the program throughout different communities.
We recognize the great toll chronic disease was taking on our population's health and their health outcomes, because annually we notice that we have increasing numbers of persons diagnosed with chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, cancers, asthma, and as a result of that, it's important that persons who care for or live with chronic conditions are able to best manage their condition.
This year, the Ministry of Health and Wellness continued the training of persons in chronic disease self-management. On the 12th of October 2017, a graduation ceremony was held for correctional officers from the Borderley Correctional Facility.
Well, for the past 6 weeks, we've been participating in the chronic disease self-management. We know that we work in a stressful environment where our clientele can either impact us positively or negatively. And as a result of working with them, we can, because we have to supervise them, whether in social aspect, physical aspect, and as a result of that stressful environment, some of us, we may have developed some medical conditions. Also, our friends, our families in our inner circle can also have chronic diseases. So the training was there to help us manage and develop skills in order to help us to cope either with ourselves or with our family members, to help them create a better and healthier lifestyle.
In addition, Sergeant Philbert Ariste, a participant, also voiced his sentiments.
I was very pleased and happy to be selected to receive this training. Positive thinking has changed my life, actually. I've learned and experienced having the power to achieve more, being less stressed even working under a lot of pressure. Positive thinking is the cure or it may provide some well-needed temporary relief from pain, anger, disappointments, etc.
The program is a skill-based comprehensive program where persons learn how to manage their medication, stress related to chronic conditions, create action plans to address the problem, and develop better partnerships with their service providers. The Ministry of Health applauds Borderley for being one of the first organizations to come forward to request this type of support, and they encourage other entities to take advantage of the opportunity and make a collective effort to improve the health of all within the nation. Reporting from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, I am Miguel Morissette.
The island's Governor General, Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louise, has described as long overdue a visit to St. Lucia by the Logos Hope. Known as the world's largest floating book fair, the MV Logos Hope will be docked in St. Lucia until November 5th. More in this report.
The Logos Hope, now docked at Point Seraphim, is the world's largest floating book fair and was last here in October 2009. Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louise, who spoke at the opening ceremony, says the ship's visit will provide St. Lucians with the opportunity to strengthen their knowledge and reading. The Governor General, who is the ship's special guest of honor, says she is pleased the ship will cater to citizens in the south of the island and will provide access to a variety of books.
Not just me, but I'm sure the whole citizenry is eagerly opening the doors of this largest book fair, bookstore in the world. And I say that because unfortunately over the past few years we have had a decline in our access to books of all types, the kinds, the variety and the range that I know from past experience that Logos offers and Logos brings to us.
Director of the Logos Hope, Phil Hang Pak, says the ship's mission is to advance the well-being of St. Lucians during the visit. The Logos Hope, a Christian organization, will also offer theater, music, and other aspects of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
And during our visit to your port, we hope to get to know your people and build lasting friendship with you and with the people of this country. At the same time, we would like to welcome everyone in St. Lucia to visit this unique ship, to get to know our people and experience richness of cultures on board with the 62 nationalities represented.
The Logos Hope will be open to the public at Point Seraphim from October 19th to October 30th and at the Finger Pier in Vieux-Fort from October 31st to November 5th. The public can visit during the following hours: Tuesdays to Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sundays, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. The ship will be closed on Mondays. From the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, I am Fennel Neptune reporting.
When the D.B.S. News World continues, the police hierarchy heads to Soufrière.
Malibu 1 liter, $39.99. Marigo Bay coconut rum, Stone ginger wine, fish eye wine, $13.99. Tea was 1.75 liter, Ciroc 1 liter. $9.99. Calorosi cat liter, $76.99. Ega Lola deal, Desan Bue.
Simplify your life with the My Digital.
On Wednesday, October 25th, 2017 at 6 p.m. in Soufrière. The meeting will take place at the Font-Séjac Resource Center. All residents of Font-Séjac and environs are invited to this meeting, where they will have the opportunity to meet the executive of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. The Meet the Commissioner Town Hall meeting is a community policing initiative where citizens have the opportunity to voice their concerns and suggestions about crime as well as policing in their respective communities. The Department of Fisheries is once again putting vendors and consumers on notice that there are still various seafoods that are illegal to sell or purchase at this time. These include crayfish and sea urchins, commonly known as sea eggs.
There was reason for the Department of Fisheries to undergo its normal assessment, its annual assessments, and the numbers we reviewed are very low, and so we cannot open the sea egg fishery at this time. I'm sure persons would recall that last year the fishery was open for a number of days. We had an 8-day fishery, and there was another period when we opened the fishery again. These numbers were encouraging. However, the assessment done this year revealed very low numbers.
The department has received reports that persons are continuing to harvest sea urchins during the closed season.
There has been siltation, a number of persons are taking juveniles, and a number of reasons why, when we reviewed the assessment, we could not open or allow for a fishery this year. So again, vendors, consumers, fishers, the sea urchin and the crayfish fishery will remain closed during Junequeol activities, and it will remain closed until then, until further advised.
Edwin says the lobster and conch fisheries remain open. The St. Lucia Civil Service Cooperative Credit Union will host a financial reality fair this week, one they say is dedicated to teaching students the basics of money management.
It's a 2-hour process that they would go through stages of the fair with different things to entice them, electronics, you name it. It's basically our living in a 2-hour process to give them that kind of a hype and excitement to want to do things that differently.
The Labrie Credit Union will be hosting the Financial Reality Fair in the South on Tuesday, October 24th. Meanwhile, the St. Lucia Civil Service Cooperative Credit Union will host another fair in the north of the island on Thursday, October 26th at the Cashie's Comprehensive Secondary School. Organizers of last weekend's Wen de la Wen Creole pageant are calling it a huge success. Angela Simon of Jacmel emerged the winner of that pageant, which saw 6 other ladies vying for the title. Alex Bousquet tells us more.
The ladies first addressed the audience each with a welcome remark, and as the show progressed, the audience was entertained by a Creole string band and a junior Lapo Cabwit drum group. Patrons say the skits were extraordinary and that this was the most amusing section of the show, which had the crowd bursting with laughter. The display of the WOP duets were amazing, as each past queen had their attire explained in detail. Master of Ceremonies Michael Gasper had already warned that the judges would have a hard time deliberating, as the ladies all put on great performances. After one more dance and the Powell Guamoon section, it was the moment of truth. 4 ladies picked up 4th place. Agnes Chester, who represented Marigot, Mary Joseph of Lakwashobo in Babono, Agatha Charles of Moshi, and Alces Ismail of Kako Babono. The 3rd place went to Rosalind Popo, representing Deriso. The 2nd place went to Frederica Senqua, who represented Castries, and the Wen de la Wen 2017 was no other than Angela Simon of Jacmel. While the Queen was crowned by the Governor-General Dame Paulette Louisy, the other contestants received their trophies and medals. It was all a fun evening, with every contestant leaving feeling like a winner. For the D.B.S. News World, I am Alex Bousquet.
You're watching the D.B.S. News World. We'll have more news on the other side of this commercial break.
The countdown has begun, and in less than 9 weeks, the biggest season will be here. Give yourself a head start with great deals and unbeatable offers at Courts. You won't find it better anywhere else. Plus, shop today and pay absolutely nothing until January 2018. Shop online or in store. We're ready to serve you. The countdown is on. Don't wait. Get a head start only at Courts. bringing value home.
Mango plus clothing plus sale equals what? Answer 50% off. Shop at Mango and save up to 50% off. Ladies casual tops were $30, now $15. Working tops, long and short sleeves, ladies jeans, working skirts, and more. Remember, it's all going at 50% off and more. For the men, plaid shorts were $45, now $22.50. Men's hoodies, three-quarter jeans, long skinny jeans, and plaid shirts were $35, now $17.50. It's all going down at Mango Sportswear on Miku Street, Castries. 50% off and more now until stocks last.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Distributed by Blue Water St. Lucia.
So you mean all the time you had diabetes?
Yes.
That's my smoke alarm. Charleston back!
Of the boxing fraternity was seen at the incomplete boxing facility on Saturday morning. D.B.S. Sports caught the coach, national boxers, and the president of the local association working assiduously in the hopes of bringing the facility up to training standard. We spoke to the president of the St. Lucia Boxing Association, David Shakes Christopher.
Now what's going on is more or less a could me help yourself style going on with the boxers, the coach. Myself, we're going to have a few more boxers coming in a little while. what we're trying to do is clean up inside of the gym. You know, we have a lot of space, but then it's unfinished. As you can see inside, you still have a little bit more plastering work to be done. The washroom area need to be addressed. The washroom, the changing area, a little bit electrical, and then we can safely say we're in. But with the present condition of the weather, it's really affecting us presently in the complex. So what we decided to do is just clean up the inside so we can probably shadow box, hang a few bags inside, do some strengthening inside, because we need to be inside where we can get ourselves organized. It's not working for us presently with the climate, the present weather climate.
Well, those sentiments were echoed by national boxing coach Conrad Fredericks, who explained that preparation for the major upcoming tournaments requires proper facility.
We have a very hard training program coming up so far. It's very hard for our training because these days it's the sun out. Sometimes the weather changing us. Weather pack up, we gotta go. In the complex where we put in the bag, it's not safe because in the veranda we hang the bags on. And we have to move the bags right now. We got to tell people we cannot use the bags because people claim that it's shaking the building, so I cannot do that. It's like destroying the building, so I say take the bags down. So we come to clean up the gym right now. We see what we can do with our own gym, our own facility. That we need so much that for the Commonwealth game, we have the Commonwealth game coming up next year, early next year. So we have the Caribbean Development Tournament coming up so far, and we cannot train because the weather in out. We can't use our bags, you know. So we decided to come this morning with a few senior boxers, 3 senior national boxers, Lindell, Marvin, and Tiga Merkley. So what we're trying to do right now is get a gym together. We can put 3 bags up, and we can use so fast that we could prepare our boxers for our tournament.
So also working tirelessly on the gym today was National Boxer of the Year Lindell Masler.
My training, to me, I haven't been training because of my gym, and we don't have proper equipment and stuff right now. Our gym now cleaning at the moment, and now I'm not really affecting I just want my gym, just the gym I ride. Right now, just the gym I want because I can get the equipment so I can get ready for my I want to be ready on the outfits. Opponents are really looking forward to beating up and stuff like that, so I can get my goal.
Well, the Caribbean Development Boxing Championships is expected to bring over 300 boxers from across the region to St. Lucia in December. Meanwhile, newly appointed boxing coach attached with the Department of Youth Development and Sport, Conrad Fredericks, has started to make inroads in the development of the sport island-wide. The coach, absolutely obsessed with the furtherance of the sport locally, put on training sessions at the Grosley Secondary School last week. At the school, picked to be the center of excellence for sports on the island, Marie engaged the boxers in a number of drills, inclusive of shadow boxing. Male and female boxers showed interest in the sport as the number of individuals signing up to be part of the sport has more than doubled in 2017. Well done, coach. Well, the Department of Youth Development and Sports Inter-Schools Football Competition continued on Friday with matches played at the various venues on the island. In their matchup, Miku Comprehensive defeated PI Secondary 8-0. Donovan Purpry registered a brace in this encounter as his fellow Viewford compatriot Saviola Elva was also on the score sheet for Miku. The other goal scorers in this encounter included Giovanni Augustin, Torian Joseph, Denver Joseph, and Kareem McFarlane. Now, in another match played, Choiseul Secondary defeated Soufrière Secondary in their matchup in Viewfort. In this matchup, Daval Edward found the back of the net to give Choiseul the lead in the 7th minute. In the second half of this encounter, Edward, who is also known for his exploits in cricket, would complete his brace in the 52nd minute. Soufrière would make the final minutes of this game interesting as Von Longville found the back of the net in the 60th minute. Choiseul held on to seal a 2-1 victory. Now, in track and field, St. Lucia's Michael Megaboost Bisset competed on the weekend at the 26th edition of the Rey du Logoro Road Race held in Martinique. In the 15-kilometer event, B.S finished 6th out of hundreds of participants registered in this year's event. This served as an improvement to the man employed by the ministry as a road race coach from last year. Now, last year, B.S finished 8th in this competition. The athlete, who is originally from Conway but now resides in Bocash, also had an improvement on the time he took to complete the route. I finished in 6th with a few seconds faster than last year, B.S said. Last year, I also finished 8th, so I'm satisfied with my run, B.S added. Well, the man wearing blue and yellow, black and white for St. Lucia finished 6th out of 450 other athletes. Wow, top thing. Now, Noah Lucky Nicholas and Antonio Joseph secured yet another title in local football for the sports-loving community of Viewfort. Surprise, surprise. Viewfort, they took on Miku in the grand final of the 2017 SLFA Under-22 football competition. In a match played at the Philip Marseille grounds, the duo, who also formed part of the successful senior team, got things going for the team who had dominated football locally for the entire year. Noah Lucky Nicholas got things going in the 6th minute, while Antonio Tifue Joseph sealed the deal in the 60th minute. Well, earlier, Grosley secured another 3rd place finish this year as they defeated Ansare 5-3 on penalties. Chauvin Elite was the goal scorer for Ansare in the 36th minute, while Melvin Doxley equalized in the 80th minute for the boys from up north. Well, action in the Veterans in Sports Inc. 2017 qualifiers got underway on Sunday night in front of a nice crowd at the Philip Marseille grounds in Viewfort. 16 teams have already sealed their spot in this tournament proper. Now, 6 teams are playing in this round with the hopes of gaining the final 4 spots. In the first match played, Leclerc, he took on Labui Connections. Labui went into the dressing room on top in this encounter as they found goals in the 39th and the 42nd minute. Nathan James and Justa Sentemi were the goal scorers in the first half. Leclerc would come out swinging in the second half as they found the back of the net in the 55th minute. Kurt Nicholas was the goal scorer. In the final quarter of this game, the team from the southwest of the island enjoyed most of the possession as they created a number of opportunities. Labui would go on to score a 3rd as Nathan James completed his brace in his 3-1 win. Still in veterans football, world matches ahead of the 2017 Veterans Football Tournament began at the Philip Marseille grounds on Sunday afternoon. On a waterlogged outfield, a number of goals were scored as teams fine-tuned their systems before the competition. In the first match played, former champions Carriacou Masters got their warm-up campaign off to a great start as they defeated Soufre Veterans 5-1. In the second encounter, home team Central Viewfort, they were defeated by last year's 4th place finishers Miku 3-2. In the final warm-up encounter, Everton Rages found the back of the net to secure a 1-0 victory for Grosley against Labrie Veterans. Well, matches in the tournament qualifiers continued after those games. Wow, well, we take a break, but when we get back, Rio Longville scores another hat-trick in the Castries Football Council Youth Football. Stay tuned.
Before you go green or go global with your vehicle insurance, do a little research. Ask your insurance company how reliable their claims payment policy is. Do they have the backing of a company rated A Excellent by AM Best for financial strength? If you're not satisfied with the answers, now would be a good time to call Caribbean Alliance Insurance Company Limited. Our comprehensive motor coverage provides a full package of insurance for private and commercial vehicles. Plus, the added benefit of a windscreen cover and temporary car replacement for private vehicles. Don't choose your car insurance by accident. Caribbean Alliance Insurance Company. Tomorrow, secure.
I need someone to manage my digital advertising.
You need the experts.
Ooh,
Yellow.
At Yellow, we have over 35 years of advertising experience, built over 4,000 websites, and are the 3 times Google Mobile and Display champions for the Caribbean and Latin America. Our team will assess your business objectives to develop and manage all your digital advertising plans.
Yellow search engine marketing help customers find us when they search online and via mobile. They identify the audience interested in us and connected us to them. So if you need a partner to help your business build awareness, expand its reach, and generate leads,
Kennedy was the other goal scorer for Valley Soccer Club, while Maron Nelson was the lone goal scorer for FC Pioneers. We also met up with the talented midfielder, Brio Longville.
This game was not bad, but I felt that we could have done better. We didn't do what the coach asked. I felt that our mentality towards the game was poor. We thought we would have just run over the team. The team had no discipline. But I felt we could have done better if we just pay attention to the coach instructions and
Well, in the under-11 matches, Flo Lancers FC continued their unbeaten run with 3-0 win over VSADC Pine Hill Dolphins. The goal scorers for Flo Lancers FC were Marcus Paul, Nahim Remy, and Deshaun Paul. VSADC Pine Hill under-11s had better luck against the Valley Soccer Club Strikers with a 2-0 win. The goal scorers for VSADC Pine Hill Dolphins were Adonini Lucian and Aramin Lesmore. The Valley Soccer Club lost to FC Pioneers 3-1. The goal scorers for FC Pioneers were Kyan Gabriel and Gamish Gittens. They recorded a brace. In under-13 action, Valley Soccer Club, led by a hat-trick by Royson Harris and supported by goals from Jahim Prosper, Rivaldo Shalmine and Jelani Dizoze, got past FC Pioneers by 6-0. In the other under-13 match, Flo Lancers FC nipped VSADC under-13s by 1-0, courtesy of a fine finish by Aiden Desir. Matches in the Grosley Football League District Rep Cup kicked off on Sunday, 22nd October at the Grosley playing field. In the first game, Twist Dominators defeated Royalton FC 2-1. Yannick Augustin scored in the 24th minute for Royalton, while Dane Ferdinand and Kevin Fossois were the goal scorers for Twist Dominators. In the second game, KFC GMC United defeated Northern United B 3-0. KFC GMC United took the lead in the first half with a goal from Selwyn Boyce in the 17th minute. The second half saw more goals for KFC GMC United from Kerry Joseph in the 50th minute and Tyrus Jeremy in the 75th minute. In the third game, Massey Stores Northern United defeated Sanders FC 2-1. For Sanders, the goal scorers were Amari Florentville in the 13th minute, while he was the lone goal scorer. Elijah Louis and Jonathan Allen were the goal scorers for Massey Northern United. Well, finally, the West Indies women completed a double series whitewash over Sri Lanka after they won the third and final T20 International by 31 runs at Coolidge Cricket Grounds in Antigua yesterday. The victory was extra special as Deandra Doughton stuck her second T20 century, becoming the first woman to achieve such a feat. She scored 112 from just 67 balls. Hayley Matthews hit 31 as West Indies women posted 159 for 6 from their 20 overs. Amma Kochana was the best Sri Lankan bowler, taking 2 for 24. The Sri Lankans has something to celebrate as Shiwadana and Rebecca Vodnot both struck half centuries in their team's run chase. Sri Lanka finished on 128 for 5 from their allotted 20 overs. Hayley Matthews had a fantastic spell with the ball, taking 4 for 18 as the winners women kept a tight bowling attack. Deandra Doughton was the player of the match as well as the player of the series for a cumulative score of 154 runs and 1 wicket. Well, that's sports. Let's check out the weather.
The Tropical Weather Report is brought to you with the kind compliments of Fix, financial investment and consultancy services.
Anyone knows where we can get money to pay for Daddy's hospital bills?
Don't worry, Granny. Just fix it.
You know, we too are trying to get money for repairs and renovations, but we just don't know where.
Daddy, just fix it.
Honey, nothing's broken. We're just looking for a place to get money at a reasonable rate.
I know, Mommy, and that's what I'm saying. Just fix it.
At Fix, we provide a wide range of affordable loan facilities that are tailored to fit the needs of everyone. From personal loans to equity financing, whatever your needs, we can fix it. Fix, a company you can trust.
You gotta love that fighting spirit to know that things will get back to normal, if not even get better there, but it's gonna take some time, no doubt about it. Our thoughts there with the folks there in Puerto Rico. All right, let's talk tropics here, Carl. We are a little more than a month away from the end of the season in the Atlantic, but hey, you know, things get flared up in October and November for that matter.
Yeah, that's right, and we tend to look a lot closer to home, and so right in this area where we tend to look is a little bit an area where we're looking for possible development, and this is now being given a 4 40% chance of developing in the next 5 days. And the possible development area is in the western part of the Caribbean, extending up towards Cuba as well. There's not a lot there right now, but what we do have there is something called the monsoon trough. And that's an area where winds are coming together, where winds are converging. So it's an area of lower pressure, but they're not just converging, because you can see the easterly trade winds coming right through here, and then winds are coming out of the southwest through there. So they're opposing flows along that area of convergence, and that creates a spin in addition to lift. And so this is a sort of a typical birthplace for tropical systems, and we are seeing certainly some lower pressures down here indicated by these lines of equal pressure, but there's not a lot that's organized right now. So this is largely a model-based thing. This is the European model showing you this very broad circulation that's very poorly organized, maybe getting a little bit more organized as it makes its way up through Cuba and towards South Florida over the weekend. We're not seeing a lot of structure there, so it doesn't look like it's going to be a big deal at this point, but maybe some very heavy rain coming into South Florida.
Yeah, you know what? We don't necessarily want to have to deal with that for sure. So that is one of the things we'll watch for. This is now looking at basically the weekend, Saturday into Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. And this is another way of looking at that. This is a big area of deep tropical moisture. This is the total amount of moisture in the atmosphere as the European model sees it. And you see that starting to come up through the Florida Straits on Saturday, moving across South Florida Saturday into Sunday, and then feeding up into a front that's coming across the east there, just driving right up in there, so it could enhance the rainfall in the northeast in the longer term. So I think rain is the main thing that we're going to be looking for with possible development here.
All right, Carl, we'll keep an eye on that, no doubt about it. And of course, we'll be back tracking the threat for severe storms in the east.
The Tropical Weather Report was brought to you with the kind compliments of Fix, financial investment and consultancy services, a company you can trust.
The D.B.S. News continues after the break.
News leader. Time now for commentary with Deborah Glass.
I don't subscribe to social media. No Facebook, no Twitter, No Instagram, no Snapchat. But some time ago, I allowed my arm to be twisted to convince me that I needed to sign on to WhatsApp. That is bad enough. And with all the junk mail, this takes too much of my limited time. Now, with all the fake news going around, I find myself an unwilling participant. So why am I getting all those smutty email messages? Why me? What would I do with Viagra, Cialis, or a male organ enhancement pump? It's not like I can offer it to any of the men that I know. No matter what their age is, erectile dysfunction is not a topic for discussion with any man at any level. No man that I know will admit openly that he needs Viagra or Cialis. The guys will talk about trying it out just to see what would happen, and they would laugh at the possible results. But to admit needing it? Hell no. The poor bastard who would dare to admit such would be considered less than a man, no more than a manicure. That being said, I know a number of women who would like to recommend the little pill to their men folk. The way I hear it, the wives and regular partners always get the blame for the man's poor performance. It is the woman who no longer has the ability to turn the man on because the woman has gotten too fat. Or if she has starved herself stupid and worked herself to the bone to stay skinny, she is too old anyway and has too many wrinkles. Some of the women will tell you, though, that somehow Viagra gets used up. I know women who keep track of their husband's or partner's supply of Viagra. They can tell when the supply is replenished and how frequently it is used. But it is not being used for their benefit. Oh no. Only manicures will admit to their women that they suffer from erectile dysfunction. I know one man who was confronted on the issue. His excuse? He does not use it himself. He gets it cheap when he travels, and he then sells it to his friends at a profit. A girlfriend of mine, a respectable middle-class lady, partner to a high professional in the community, confided to me that her man used the little pill for no other reason than to impress the ladies at the strip clubs that he frequents. She suspects, though, that these ladies are unimpressed anyway. But he pays for the pleasure of having them view his prowess. But back to the junk mail. A friend sent me this stinky story and I loved it so much that I thought I would share it with you. This time, I don't mind forwarding the message. Here goes. The wife spent the first day packing her belongings into boxes, crates, and suitcases. On the second day, she had the movers come and collect her things. On the third day, she sat down for the last time at their beautiful dining room table by candlelight, put on some soft background music, and feasted on a pound of shrimp, a jar of caviar, and a bottle of spring water. When she had finished, she went into each and every room and deposited a few half-eaten shrimp shells dipped in caviar into the hollow of the curtain rods. She then cleaned up the kitchen and left. When the husband returned with his new girlfriend, all was bliss for the first few days. Then slowly the house began to smell. They tried everything, cleaning, mopping, and airing the place out. Vents were checked for dead rodents and carpets were steamed clean. Air fresheners were hung everywhere. Exterminators were brought in to set off gas canisters, during which they had to move out for a few days. And in the end, they even paid to replace the expensive wool carpeting. Nothing worked. People stopped coming to visit. Repairmen refused to work in the house. The maid quit. Finally, they could not take the stench any longer and decided to move. A month later, even though they had cut their price in half, they could not find a buyer for their stinky house. Word got out and eventually, even the local realtors refused to return their calls. Finally, they had to borrow a huge sum of money from the bank to purchase a new place. The ex-wife called the man and asked how things were going. He told her the saga of the rotting house. She listened politely and said that she missed her old home terribly and would be willing to reduce her divorce settlement in exchange for getting the house back. Knowing that his ex-wife had no idea how bad the smell was, he agreed on a price that was about 1/10 of what the house had been worth, but only if she were to sign the papers that very day. She agreed, and within the hour his lawyers delivered the paperwork. A week later, the man and his new girlfriend stood smiling as they watched the moving company pack their things to take to their new home. And to spite the ex-wife, they even took the curtain rods. To quote my friend, I love a happy ending, don't you? For commentary, this is Lorraine Deborah Glass.
On the lighter side tonight, a Canadian man was stopped by police for singing in his car and slapped with a $149 ticket. The incident happened on September 27th in St. Laurent, Quebec, where Taufik Moala was in his car singing the 90s hit Everybody Dance Now by CNC Music Factory, and the music was interrupted by police sirens. He says, I was thinking they wanted to pass, but they called on the speaker, please go to the right side, Moala told CTV News. I stopped and 4 police came out on each side and checked the inside of the car. Then police asked Moala if he had been screaming. No, I was just listening to my favorite song, Moala answered. According to CBC, I repeated Everybody Dance Now, but police didn't buy it and determined that he was screaming, which apparently is a violation in Quebec. I don't know if my voice was very bad and that's why I got the ticket, Moala said, but I was very shocked. I understand if they are doing their job, they are allowed to check if everything is okay, if I kidnap someone or if there's a danger inside, but I would never expect they would give me a ticket for that. Moala said he's contesting the ticket. That's your lighter side and our news. Before we go, one more look at our top stories. A 32-year-old man is the island's 43rd homicide victim. The family of a murder victim applies its own brand of restorative justice. The opposition accuses the Prime Minister of conduct and language unbecoming of his office, and fresh calls for the review of the island's labor laws. And that's the D.B.S. News World for today, Monday, October 23rd, 2017. I'm Kendall Burton. Thank you so much for watching.